Hey guys, Jeff here from Films at Home. Today we're going to take a look at the new 4K Blu-ray release and the new Best Buy exclusive Steelbook for the classic comedy The Blues Brothers. Hey everyone, so thanks for coming back to the channel. Today we're going to do a visual, audio, and packaging review of this new 4K Blu-ray Steelbook release from Best Buy. This is a Best Buy exclusive of The Blues Brothers, a classic comedy from 1980. This is a new 4K remaster, so we're going to dive into all of that. Now, if you do like this sort of stuff, 4K Blu-ray and collecting, home theater, reviews, just movies in general, you'll probably enjoy my channel. Please consider subscribing, make sure you like this video, and let me know in the comments if you guys plan to pick up either this Steelbook or the regular release. Now, before we get started, I do want to give a shout out to HiDefNinja. They provided me with this Steelbook. They were working with Universal and Best Buy on this, and had a really cool chance to give me an early copy to both review and give me a cool copy of the Steelbook to show off. So shout out to HiDefNinja. Steelbook's going to be available tomorrow, May 19th, Tuesday, May 19th. So you can pick it up with your curbside pickup, or hopefully your online orders come in okay. So just another shout out to HiDefNinja. Great place to work with, and I'm happy to be one of their partners now. So now let's dive right into the visuals on this. And this is a movie shot in 1980. So again, this movie's going to be shot on film. It was shot on a Panavision film, 35mm negative. There have been some 70mm copies I saw overseas. I'm not sure if any made that into the US, but this is a new 4K master off of that original 35mm negative. Now, there isn't any information out there about whether John Landis, the director, was involved at all in the 4K mastering, but I know he was involved in the previous Blu-ray mastering, so I assume that there might have been some involvement, but I'm really not sure. Now, overall, the picture here on the Blu-ray, which the previous Blu-ray is included in this release, so I had a comparison point because I actually didn't own this on Blu-ray. The previous Blu-ray had very good visuals, right? But grain was a little heavy at times, and I thought it could be more detailed, and color also seemed to be a little dark. It had a very 1980s, late 70s, early 80s feel to it, where I thought the colors could have been much improved. It's an excellent Blu-ray. In the Blu-ray category, it's very good, but I was very excited because I thought the 4K had a lot of room to improve on. And with this visual, they did a great job with the detail. Now, they didn't use any sort of digital noise reduction or smoothing the grain at all from what I could tell. And you can definitely see that in certain sequences throughout the movie, that just based on where things were shot and different amounts of lighting that were available, and you know how the film was shot and choices by the director and cinematographer, you can see that some instances are blurry, or some instances have more grain than others just because of lighting. So it's a kind of, I would say it's not a very inconsistent picture, but there are moments, especially right at the beginning of the movie when this opened, I said, ooh, I don't know, this looks a lot like the Blu-ray. And then we got into another scene in a different setting, and I said, wow, like now I see what we're going for. And so every now and then you see those scenes that just don't have the best quality. That's because of the original print. That has nothing to do with the 4K master. It's original choices made by the director and the way they shot things, and we're working with what we have. The parts that do look really good are solid. Like, the detail is incredible, and the nice thing about this one is when they do it right, when you have those scenes, which for 90% of the movie I'd say are so pristine, and they must have had a really good print and good, well done shots for that scene, it looks so clean. Like, you can almost not see the grain. Now, the grain is definitely there. You definitely know that this was shot on film, but it looks like a 35mm presentation. It just looks great. Details are incredible. This is a great 4K release from a resolution standpoint, and I think that fans will be really happy with it because it hasn't been messed with, and it's kept, and it looks as good as it's ever looked. It looks as if you were watching a 35mm print, and a pristine 35mm print at that, without damage. In a theater back in 1980. Now, in this release, we also get HDR10, and I would say it's not used to the fullest degree here. We don't have any Dolby Vision or HDR10 Plus, so no matter what you have for 4K HDR, as long as you have HDR, you'll be able to watch this movie in its full extent with HDR10, and that's not a knock, honestly. So many times I can barely see a difference, if any difference at all, between an HDR10 Plus, a Dolby Vision, and HDR10. They're all just different formats, right, of the same thing. We're trying to do the same thing. So the HDR10 is really nice here in a few scenes. The church scene, somewhere towards the beginning, stood out to me. The scene in the soul food kitchen kind of cafe, that really stood out to me. And of course, the scene in the mall. There's a few scenes later on as well, but those ones immediately, while I was watching this and reviewing it, just were like bang, bang, bang. Those were 3 great scenes within the first hour that I thought really stood out to me. So hopefully you will too. But that church scene in particular, I love the colors on that, and the detail on that scene is incredible. So that, I think, was the best that the 4K image looked, was the whole scene at the church with James Brown. So I was really excited when I saw that, and that was very early on that I knew this was going to be a great picture. So now, audio-wise, this is actually where we get interesting and where this is going to be worth an upgrade over the Blu-ray. The previous Blu-ray release and the Blu-ray that's included with this Steelbook, which is just a port over from the previous Blu-ray, only had a 5.1 track, and it was not a lossless track. It was just a 5.1 Dolby track. It was not DTS HD. It was not Dolby True HD. It was just regular 5.1, almost like you would have got, on DVDs. And that's not to say it's a bad track, but certainly they could have done better, especially for a movie that has so much great sound and so much great music like this. And so the nice thing about this new 4K is that you get a DTS-X immersive audio track. That comes standard on the 4K. On the Blu-ray, again, you're still only getting the 5.1, so nothing's changed on the Blu-ray disc, but on this 4K disc, DTS-X, and that's great. It sounds so much better. That's a lossless audio track, and it's just like Dolby Atmos, where it's object-based surround. It's the highest level of surround sound that you can get to. It's Dolby Atmos and DTS-X. So they did an excellent job upgrading that, and things sound great. I mean, you've got so much talent in this movie with James Brown and Ray Charles and Aretha Franklin and all these people singing, and the music from this time period. Like, the DTS-X makes it just so much better. And in my opinion, that is a massive, massive leap from a 5.1 lossy audio track up to a DTS-X lossless audio. I mean, that for me was a huge reason that I would say you should upgrade this release. This movie is all about music and sound and audio, and they finally gave us the best audio track that we've ever had. Now jumping into the packaging and special features. Obviously the packaging you've seen here throughout, but I'll show you a full kind of glimpse of it. It has some really sweet artwork. I really like this. I'm digging. They're gonna make me get back into Steelbooks if they do cool stuff like this, but I love the yellows and the blues. The way this is gonna look on a shelf is great. And then on the inside, you do have the 2 Blues Brothers. You can't see the John Belushi on the right here. You can only see Dan Aykroyd, but you do have new artwork on the 4K disc, so they took some extra care there as well. And it's just a really nice release overall, and it was shipped to me, and of course, through shipping, stuff happens to Steelbooks, and you can get a scratch or a ding, but honestly, this one came in pretty good shape. It's a glossy cover, so you're going to get some fingerprints on it, I'm sure. You may want to throw it in a protective sleeve, but it's really cool artwork, and I really like it, and I think it'll look great in a shelf. If you're a fan of this movie, you're going to love this release. Now, jumping into some of the special features have been ported over from the Blu-ray, but the cool thing about this release is that on the 4K disc, you get both the theatrical and the extended edition on 4K, as well as 3 different 4K special features. So Universal really did a nice job making the most of this 4K disc here. You get stories behind the making of the Blues Brothers, which is a pretty typical behind the scenes type stuff, but it's on the 4K disc. You also get Transposing the Music, which is a nice featurette that really dives into the music of the movie. And then you get a really cool one called Remembering John, about John Belushi and some of the people who worked with him, some of his friends kind of telling stories about him. So if you're a fan of John Belushi and his stuff, Animal House and Blues Brothers, SNL, you're going to really like the special features here, and it's nice to see them on the 4K disc. And you also get that extended cut, which is an extra 15 minutes long. One thing to note on that is that some of the scenes in the extended cut are definitely a little blurrier and out of focus, I thought. Some of the stuff that gets thrown in, you can tell it was cut for a reason. probably at the time of theatrical release. So then the extended version throws some of it back in, and it's nice to have, but not always the best quality. This release also does come with a digital code, but I haven't been able to redeem it yet, so I can't tell you whether it redeems in 4K. It is a universal code, so it should redeem on Movies Anywhere, but it wasn't allowing me to, maybe because I'm ahead of the release date here by a day. I'm going to try it again tomorrow, but it does come with a code either way. So overall, I'm really digging the packaging and the special features, and this release as a whole is very nice. Now, this Steelbook can be had at Best Buy for only $20, which is a great deal. You can also get the standard 4K for $20 on places like Amazon, Walmart, Target, Ice Bowl Moose, your local video shop. Places like that should have it. But I think for this one, Best Buy's done a great job with this Steelbook. And I could be convinced to buy a Steelbook over a regular release. You could convince me for this one because it's an older, iconic movie, and this is simply the coolest packaging I've seen for it. The regular standard Blu-ray 4K is just okay. It's got, pretty standard slipcover, but I really do like this. And so overall, from a visual perspective, this is maybe, a tiny step above the Blu-ray in terms of HDR and coloring, but the resolutions are really a big leap forward, and we get much more detailed, much better grain structure. They did a nice job. But that audio, going from a lossy 5.1 up to DTS-X, is a massive upgrade, and the special features and extended edition on the 4K disc make this one a must-buy for me on 4K. Now, is it going to be the most visually pleasing movie? No, it's Blues Brothers. It's a comedy. It's not going to blow you away like some other movies do on 4K. But if you're a fan of this, it's the best it's ever sounded, it's the best it's ever looked, and it's loaded with features. So I think you have to grab this. At $20, that's a really nice price point. They're not going up into $25 or $30, so that's a good price point for a double dip, I think, especially if you get the Steelbook. And this is another title that I could see easily hit $15 in just a few months if you did have to wait. But at this point in time, $20 on release day, you have not made a mistake. This is a great, great 4K release from Universal, and it makes me very excited for their upcoming release of Jaws, which is also getting a Steelbook, because if they do as good a job on this as they do on Jaws, I'm going to be pumped. So thanks for watching, guys. I will leave a link down in the description to both the Best Buy Steelbook and the standard edition on Amazon. If you do order off Amazon, that helps support my channel. Also, make sure you're subscribed. Follow me on Instagram, and you can see all tons of great other types of content on there on my Instagram page. And make sure you check out all the other links down in my description for ways you can help support the channel, in ways that you can find things that I have in my home theater and purchase them for yourself. Anything you do purchase through those links does support the channel, and I do get a small kickback, so thank you for that. I have to make that disclaimer. But anyway, Blues Brothers out tomorrow, May 19th. Highly, highly recommended by me. You guys will not be disappointed, but a great release from Universal. So props to them. Thank you again to HiDefNinja for sending that out, and for Best Buy for working with all of us. And I hope you guys are staying safe, staying healthy. We're getting through this thing. We're almost there, so stick it out. I think we'll be out soon and be on the beaches and the bars this summer before you know it. So just stick it out. Be safe, be healthy, and thank you for watching. I'll talk to you guys soon.